What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Between the Cons. My name is Chris, and with me today, MasterMind-rebo.
Excelsior!
You're all over the place with your intro.
Man.
I don't even know how to
I don't want to
deal.
get put in a box, man. Don't put me in a box.
Don't put me in a box.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Come on.
But anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in today. Thanks to everybody that hit us up on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You guys are dope. And then, of course, shout outs to everybody that has left a 5-star or any star review on the iTunes store. We really appreciate that. If you haven't done it yet, it's super easy. Just go to iTunes, the podcast app on your phone, or iTunes on your computer or whatever, and leave a review.
We'll read it.
Click write a review. Or Google Play or iHeartRadio, do the thumbs up thing, do whatever you want to do. Like the show. It bumps us up in the ranking of when we show up on the iTunes store.
Yeah.
So it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing. It's a weird algorithm that iTunes made, but that's how it works. So do that if you haven't yet. But today we've got a books episode for you. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about some books that we've been reading, and then some books that you guys should, well, not and then, but some books that we've been reading that you should be reading.
Yeah, I'm good with that statement.
So let's do this thing. Books.
I want to be a book. She could pick me up, flip through my pages, make sure nobody drew wieners in me.
All right, so like I said, we're going to have a books episode today. For those of you that might be new listeners, books works very similar to pineapple. MasterMind-rebo and I are going to
Go over some books.
Pop back and forth, talk about some books we've been reading. And I'll kick things off. So lately, we've talked about it before. Big fan of the audiobook.
Oh, yeah.
Commuting to work, I mean, I'm in the car for at least an hour every day between my drive to and from work. So I do a lot of audiobooks. I do them through the Denver Public Library. It's really excellent. If you're in Denver and you've got a long commute, I strongly recommend getting a library card. You can have any book from any branch of DPL transferred to the branch closest to you. It makes it extra convenient. And they have a ton of audiobooks. So strongly recommend it if you are a commuter. But I do the audiobook thing. Recently, I've been listening to Sphere by Michael Crichton. Also, big fan of Michael Crichton.
I was going to say, no surprise that it's a Michael Crichton book.
I have almost 2 whole shelves on my bookshelf that are nothing but Michael Crichton books. Big fan of his works. God rest his soul. Which is strange to say, knowing that he has a book that just came out. And
Beyond the grave.
He died posthumously, released a book. He died in November 2008. Just released Dragon Teeth. Haven't read it yet. Not what I'm here to talk about.
Well, they found it on his computer, right?
Yeah, found it on his computer.
Yeah.
They did the same thing with Micro,
which
came out in 2009 or 2010. It was shortly after his passing.
I just find it eerie that they're continuing to find books on his computer.
Right.
Like, do they just appear? Like, will this be the new Michael Crichton book where we talk about Michael Crichton's books?
Right, but Richard Preston finished Micro, found it on his computer. He finished it for him.
Nice.
It was excellent. It was seamless. I didn't when I was reading it, didn't feel like a different author picked it up.
Nice.
So it was really cool. But Sphere is what I've been reading lately. It is really awesome. It's one of Michael Crichton's sci-fi thrillers. Haven't finished it yet. Not going to spoil it for you because I don't know how.
Yeah.
But it's really excellent. It's about a group of scientists and members of the military on a exploration mission, I guess. They drop a habitat to the bottom of the ocean because some scans found a ship.
Yeah.
Or a plane is how it was sold in the beginning. A plane that has been down there for hundreds of years. And obviously, planes haven't existed for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So, especially that look like planes now. So they went down to check it out. Come to find out, it is a spaceship from the future.
Yep.
And there is a sphere in it. So the whole book is about how like the beginning is all about Act 1, I guess, would be like them trying to get the sphere open, and then the rest of the book is about what happens once it gets open. Yeah, it's really interesting. The main character is a psychologist.
Yeah.
So he catches a lot of flack from the other scientists that kind of find him as a pseudoscientist.
Yeah.
Because there's no factual data to anything that he has. It's all just circumstance and all this kind of stuff. But it's a really good book. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's classic Crichton. Michael Crichton has this really great, we were actually talking about it before the show. He has this really great ability of putting a ton of research into any book topic that he wrote. So it's all about different scientists. So they speak well to each other. Everything's believable. It's not like some dude is writing a book about scientists. It's like reading
a book basically by a scientist.
reading a transcript between scientists having a conversation.
Yeah.
And then he's a sci-fi, for the most part, sci-fi writer with thriller.
Yeah.
Like
that's his fieldhouse.
Yeah. Sci-fi thrillers. And then he does have some books that are like historical thrillers, and then some books that are just thrillers.
Yeah.
But they're thrillers in the same way that like it's like more drama, like thriller drama.
Yeah. Well, even like for Sphere with Michael Crichton, like, you know, they actually made a good movie.
Well, and that's the thing
is too. It's just saying, like, you know, obviously the book's gonna be tons better,
right?
But it's like the movie was great.
And that's one thing that I've always enjoyed about Michael Crichton is kind of the thing that got me interested in Michael Crichton too is I found out that Michael Crichton had all these movies.
Yeah.
And it's like if he had like almost every book in his library was turned into a movie.
Yeah.
Or a TV show or
something along those
lines.
Like
something. And he even wrote screenplays like Westworld.
Yeah.
Westworld is Michael Crichton.
Which
he wrote the screenplay for the film, the Yul Brynner film that came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
And now it's a hit TV show on HBO.
Yeah.
So he's a fantastic author. I could gush for days about Michael Crichton. But I definitely suggest picking him up. If you don't know where to start with Michael Crichton, Timeline is an excellent book, historical thriller, historical sci-fi thriller.
I even have the book in my possession, you know, per your recommendation.
Yep.
So.
Jurassic Park, obviously. I feel like that's the go-to. He has another book that's really excellent called State of Fear. It is a current events thriller kind of thing. Current being a loose term.
Yeah.
But it's about global warming.
Yeah.
And it being a government conspiracy and all this kind of stuff. So it's really good. But he puts, for example, Timeline, State of Fear as well, his bibliography, because he notes everything that he has looked up. So the bibliographies at the end of his books are like 30, 40 pages. Dude has so much time put into his books. They're fantastic. So that's my recommendation. Recommendation number one is Sphere, Michael Crichton, or Timeline, Jurassic Park, etc.
Well, even, you know, going off of your recommendations, Michael Crichton, you know, I believe you and I talked a little bit about it last time we were just hanging out, and I picked up Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton.
Yeah,
and honestly, fantastic writing. Like, I will just further endorse it and just saying it is something where I'm also the fan of the audiobook, and that's, you know, I also travel a lot, drive a lot, and so it's just saying I love it. And many people mostly have seen the movie. It is way better than the film. Just goes into so much depth and just, you really are invested in the characters.
And there's so much science in it.
Yeah, there really is. And it's just saying, like, sorry. I was all distracted by that. I had a tail flapping in my side. So, yeah, it's just astounding how Michael Crichton just weaves a great story, and I won't give any spoilers, but you don't really see the spoiler coming unless, you know, you're really intentionally like looking and thinking for it. I got a little prepped by Chris about just bombs being dropped. But all that to say, I was waiting for it, and I haven't finished it, but the bomb finally did drop, and that's
what he's
fantastic.
so good. That's what he's so good at. Is he's a big he most of his books are slow burners.
Yeah.
So that being said, they're not boring.
No.
They're very they're very intriguing. They're very enveloping.
Yep.
They suck you in, and they keep you interested the whole book. And things will happen the whole book.
Sure.
And it'll be enough to, like, the action will be enough to give you that, like, bump.
Yeah.
Like when you start to lose interest, something crazy will happen. It'll bump you back in.
Yeah.
For those of you that aren't a fan of the slow burner, and then at the very end, like, it's always within like the last 50 pages.
Yeah.
The last 50 pages are just a freaking roller coaster.
Yeah. And it's an amazing thing just to see it fall out in a book. So I would highly recommend it. I'm as I said, I just grabbed Timeline. Because I'm a book fiend, be it audiobook or be it written page. So I fully recommend it. And yeah, that's my first recommendation.
So number 2 for me, when I was traveling over the last couple months for work, I took a bunch of graphic novels with me just to suck up any downtime that I had on the plane or anything like that. Time that I was like at the hotel room at night and I didn't want to get on my computer, whatever. I took this book called Eternals. Eternals is written by Neil Gaiman. It is your superhero story kind of thing, but it's also classic Gaiman. I mean, it's woven in with so much allegory towards mythology and all this kind of stuff. So the Eternals... Nice. The Eternals are kind of this deity on Earth as superheroes.
Okay.
So kind of like Thor.
Yeah.
But more heavy towards the superhero kind of vibe. Like they sell themselves more as superheroes than they do as otherworlders or like deities or gods or whatever. So it's really good. I mean, it's Neil Gaiman, so I
was gonna say Neil Gaiman is just, gosh, his bibliography of his own books and graphic novels, TV shows, everything, just astounding. And he weaves a book, and obviously graphic novel as well.
Yeah, and it's really cool because a lot of people, when they think Neil Gaiman graphic novel, they think Sandman. Yeah. The cool thing about Eternals is it looks like a superhero comic book.
Yeah.
Bright colors, really pops. It's Marvel, so it actually Iron Man shows up.
Nice.
So it's woven into the Marvel universe.
Yep.
It's really, really neat.
So not Sandman.
Right. Yeah, and it has a totally different aesthetic, a totally different vibe. Just as a book, it's so different from anything your head immediately goes to when you hear Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
But it's excellent. It's so good. Which is like the only Neil Gaiman thing about it is that it's just fantastic.
So Lance, if you're listening, you need to go pick it up.
Right.
So, and Lance, you know which Lance I'm talking about. So go get it.
Armstrong.
Yes. Yeah.
No, it's great. I got it. I actually picked it up at Black and Red on Wadsworth.
Okay.
Not in Denver, but north of Denver on Wadsworth. It's a comic book, game, like board game, music, movie, kind of.
It's a big old hodgepodge.
It's kind of like a junk store. Yeah. It feels like a junk store, but it's an excellent gaming store for tabletop gamers. So they have a whole shelf that's just old graphic novels, used, new, and otherwise.
Love it.
I actually picked it up hardback with the jacket, like new.
Yeah.
For $9.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Come on.
I mean, a good bit off of the $30 cover price.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend picking it up. It's really a good read.
Nice.
What you got?
Yeah, I recently finished, and I think I mentioned it as one of my, I can't even think of it, but like, things that we love. But all that to say, I read Lev Grossman's The Magicians series.
Lame. My next recommendation is...
Wow. So, you know what? We live in a free country, and I like to read whatever I can get my hands on.
I really do want to read Magicians. Mr. Naughty List was actually, I don't know if he was talking about it on the show or if we were just talking about it.
Yeah.
But he did say, basically, if you watch it before you read it,
oh, you'll screw the whole process
it ruins
up.
it.
No, yeah. And that's absolutely what I would say. If any of you have a Netflix subscription and also have your library card or an Audible account, do the book or the audio book first. Because honestly, the way that Netflix series, I watched 30 seconds and I was like, I had already finished the first book, so I thought I was safe.
Right.
And no, you're not. I watched 30 seconds and I was like, safe. Oh my gosh, that just revealed something that I suspected but had no idea. Those dogs.
Awkward.
So, yeah, read, Magicians, Magician King, Magician Land, all three of them recently finished. So I would say it's a book that pulls heavily from other series, i.e. Harry Potter, Narnia, really just any of those magic allegorical stories. And sometimes they'll poke light at saying like, oh,
sure.
like you think it like Harry Potter, like wands and stuff. And so you let them get by with it.
I love books like
reference
that.
It. Yeah,
I love books that are aware of pop culture.
Yeah. So I will say the only one they don't mention, which is the one they lean most heavily on, is C.S. Lewis's Narnia Chronicles. Like, they're the only ones, like, that's the only series that they don't reference in Lutu, and it really has a similar taste to in some ways. But we'll just say it's a much more adult version of Narnia, right, and much more in depth. So I definitely recommend it. It's something where you can fly through it pretty quickly at the end of the day. It is a 3-book series, and I would highly recommend. I've also watched season 1 of Magicians. Not as much of a necessary thing. So if you're trying to get a taste of what the books would be like, do not go to the show. The show falls short, and I don't even think they have a season 2 lined up, if that gives you any indication of how the show...
But it looks really exciting.
Yeah, the show looks really exciting. The books are really great. And yeah, so as we recommend, go to get your library card if you don't have one.
Get it.
They're not outdated. They're amazing. And yeah, you need to read more.
If you would have told me when I was in like 5th grade...
You're going to want a library card.
If you would have told me like when I was graduating high school, that 10 years from now, you're going to be so amped about owning a library card.
Yeah.
And like one of the things about especially DPL and most libraries, DPL has an insane selection of comics.
Yeah.
And like trade paperbacks, graphic novels.
And that was the same even like when we were kids.
Right.
Like most good libraries have a good depth of those. I remember sitting in my library.
We didn't in Sylacauga, but I believe it.
Indiana, we had them. So.
Yeah, but it's like, it's so good. You get the audiobooks. You get new releases that you don't have to pay for.
Yep.
You can read through. Find out if they're actually worth spitting out the money to put on your shelf.
Yep.
I'm a huge hardback nerd.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that my wife owns so many paperback books.
He still loves you though.
I do. I love my wife very much. Hate how many paperback books she has.
Yeah.
But I own a lot of like paperback books.
Sure.
Like smaller books, like single sit reads.
Hardback is amazing.
But like every Michael Crichton book that I own is hardback.
Yeah.
Michael Ann actually got me Jurassic Park in hardback for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
Because I have been trying to find it in hardback for 6 years, 7 years.
I was gonna say probably since
since I really started getting into Michael Crichton and actually collecting his works.
Yeah.
Every book I own by Michael Crichton is I try to keep everything first edition, and I try to keep everything hardback.
Yeah.
Which is no
I was
easy
going to say
task.
that would not be simple.
Yeah, it's tough. Especially because so many of his books are movies, and and first edition books are really expensive.
Yeah.
I will say that that neither of my Jurassic Park books are first editions.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, but like you said, it's a difficult thing. Yeah. So I also have a ton of books. I prefer hardback, but at the time, a lot of, didn't have as good a job as I do now. So really it was just whatever I could afford at the time. And that was mostly paperback.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But my wife is also amazed at how many books I have. And it's just, I have 3 bookshelves in our house. So yeah, that number's still growing, although I have shifted toward audiobook.
Yeah, we have 5, but 2 of them are movies and video games.
Okay, yeah, I definitely had to move.
Well, 1.5 of them. So we have 3.5 bookshelves of books.
I had to move to the DVD flip book because I own so many movies. I couldn't take those cases around with me.
For sure.
And I died a little on the inside when that happened, and I made that choice. All out. But it was a good choice for me.
For sure.
So, yeah, what's another book for you, Chris?
So my last book is I have owned for some time, but only recently read Civil War, the illustrated prose novel. Oh. So it is Marvel's Civil War.
Yeah.
It's the events from the Civil War.
Yep.
Event. It's the same. It's the same as the comic by Miller and McNiven. But it's prose, so it's words, not pictures.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Huh.
I kind of wish I could go back and read. The prose is by Stuart Moore. I don't know if I said that.
You did not.
But it's by Stuart Moore, so he adapted it from the comic. But it kind of makes me wonder. Like, I wish I could have read the prose and then read the trade of Civil War to see like how differently it all looks in my head. Because when I was reading the prose novel, I was like, in my head, I could see panels from the Civil War book because I've read it so much.
And I was gonna say it sounds very similar to just reading the book before you see the movie.
Yeah,
and just Yeah.
But it was really cool. It was obviously it was the exact same story.
Yeah.
Nothing was different as far as the story, other than you're having to read descriptions of the scenery, of the characters, of that kind of stuff. Whereas in the comic you have the actual images for that. So it was the same story, but it was a really different experience, and it was really exciting. I really liked doing that. It was I kind of wish more were like that. It was just really neat.
Nice. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I would say for my last book, because I also read a lot of workbooks, and it's not really worth talking about between the cons about real estate books. But the other fun one that I've been doing, I'm going to London for the first time at the end of
London.
I'm going to London.
I'm going to London.
I'm going to fly across the big old pond.
I just love doing an obnoxiously terrible
British
accent. I'm going to London.
Going to London, and I won't be trying my accent once I go there.
Hello, governor.
Because I'm going with my wife, and she would silence that so fast, as she should, because she cares about me. So, Jenna, thank you for being my balance. But to that end,
going to London.
I have been rereading the Harry Potter books. Just for fun, and
audiobooks or reading?
Reading. Yeah.
I think the Harry Potter audiobooks are the only audiobooks that I prefer over the book itself.
Well, Arthur Dale is amazing.
No, Jim Dale.
Jim Dale. Sorry, sorry, Arthur, and sorry, Jim. But yeah,
Jim Dale makes the Harry Potter experience about 1,000 times better.
Yeah, I have Chamber of Secrets actually on my phone at the moment with him.
I have all of them in my iTunes for whenever I want to, because this is terrible.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are the kings and queens of nerddom here at Between the Cons.
This is really awful. When I was in college, I rented them from the library.
Sure.
And then I burned them to my computer. I got the CDs.
No, I did that all the time.
I ripped them.
Yeah.
I felt really terrible. But, like...
I had less remorse.
Some of them were just so long that I couldn't listen to the whole thing in the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And my commutes in Mobile were a lot smaller than they are now.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. So I ripped them all to my computer, and I never got rid of them because they're so fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, Harry Potter.
But yeah. So doing that. So going to London.
I'm going to London.
Going to London.
I'm going to London.
Yeah, that's my last book.
Yeah. If you haven't read Harry Potter,
shame on you, one.
No.
Just kidding.
No.
Yeah.
If you haven't read Harry Potter,
do it.
please let me know. I will send you my GoPro.
Oh yeah.
You will set it up, like in front of the chair where you read, and I want to watch you read that book.
No,
I would love to experience someone else's first experience.
I actually had this experience with my brother-in-law. It was the most magical thing because it's like he would call me, and like I would just say, "What's going on?" And then it's like,
no
I know
spoilers.
exactly what's happening. No, of course not.
Just in case.
Yeah. But it's just saying, like, I would ask him the vaguest of details, and he would just extrapolate in, like, the most childlike wonder, and he's a 32-year-old man, and it's just so beautiful. So, really, for the most part, I look forward to having kids for the sole purpose of getting to experience my favorite classics.
Oh, yeah.
Just through their eyes.
Oh, even movies. Like,
sure, yeah.
Like, for me, it's The Rocketeer.
Oh,
like,
my
I can't wait to let my kids watch The Rocketeer.
So
but I
good.
have to catch them early enough.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna be having this battle eventually.
I don't know if it's early enough or late enough that they don't judge it for being a movie from 1996 and looking the way it does.
Yeah. No, and that's similar, like people find with the original Star Wars trilogy. You know.
Oh
like,
yeah.
But it's just saying like that. You really. Just yeah. We'll send you a GoPro. We'll send whatever. Like we'll live stream it on our podcast
in the least weird way possible.
Oh yeah.
I want to watch you read that book.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that's everything we've got for books.
I would say so.
So for me, it's Sphere.
Yep.
Eternals.
Yep.
And the Civil War prose novel.
And for me, it's Jurassic Park, the Magician series, and Harry Potter. I mean, I could never...
You have so many more books to bring to the... I brought 3 to the table.
Yeah.
You brought 11 books to the table.
Yeah, I could bring so many more. I love books. I devour them.
But anyways, we're going to jump into jams, so stay tuned.
What's your jam?
Hey Chris, what's your jam?
My jam is Carmacks.
Oh really?
Interestingly
that's
enough,
fun.
so
that's
Michael
such an
Ann,
adult jam.
I know
that.
Michael Ann and I this past weekend.
Yeah.
Went and got a new car.
Yes.
Michael Ann drove a year 2000 Honda Accord.
Okay.
I think.
Time for an upgrade.
Manual transmission.
Yep.
Well over 200,000 miles.
Yeah.
It was falling apart.
But what a credit to Honda.
Yeah.
Good job them.
Yeah. Go you. She's had it since she was 16, so
Yep.
Lasted 14 years, 200,000+ miles.
Yeah.
But with how much I've been traveling lately for work, it was one of those things where neither of us felt super comfortable with her in a vehicle that's going to break down any minute.
Yeah.
Her family's,
especially with you out of town.
Yeah, her family's in town, so it's not that big of a deal. But it's the kind of thing where, like, we just didn't. We don't want it.
You needed a new trustworthy vehicle.
So we got a 2012 Kia Sportage LX.
Yeah.
50,000 miles on it.
Ugh.
And a aftermarket stereo with like all the bells and whistles.
Yep.
Really nice new tires, all this kind of stuff. And got the extended care package.
Yep.
So we have like $200 or $150 deductible for repairs for 5 years or 150,000 miles, whichever comes first.
Yeah, love that.
And that's excellent. Seeing as how Michael Ann put 200 on her car over 14 years, I think we're gonna be fine.
Should be fine.
But got the whole kit and caboodle for under 20 grand.
Yeah.
And that doesn't sound like a lot. As far as, or it sounds like it should be way less than that. But like when you take into consideration the car has so many bells and whistles. Yeah. The aftermarket stereo.
The beauty of a used car.
All this kind of stuff. Yeah. Like we got a steal.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about it. It fits well into our budget.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's excellent. So and Carmacks has this app called Owners Plus and or Owner Plus, but it's the app that you download. You put your car in it. You log in using the email address you used when you bought the car.
Yeah.
It pulls up the car for you. You put the current mileage on the dash. It tells you when you need your tires rotated, when you need to get an oil change. It tells you when you need to have like all this kind of service.
So Carmacks, if you're listening, support us on Patreon for a kickback because we just sent you tons of love.
Yeah, and it is excellent, and you can upload photos of your insurance, of your registration, of your plates, and it keeps it all in the app. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Whenever the time comes for me to get a new car, we're definitely gonna go with Carmacks. And we can add it to the same app, so both of us can have both cars.
Keep track together on those cars.
So you just switch back and forth between vehicles. It's super dope.
Yeah.
My super adulty jam is Carmacks.
It's great. Because let's just be honest, the majority of us that are listening are adults.
Yeah.
So you probably appreciate figuring out how to get a good car.
Yeah, and the thing is Michael Ann and I knew nothing going into it. We knew absolutely nothing.
Well, she had the same car since she was 16.
Our goal, and I have had I've had 2 cars since I was 16.
Yeah.
But the second one, I traded my dad.
Yeah.
I gave him my old car, he gave me his car.
Yep.
And we traded, so it was completely off the books. I've never bought a car, no idea how to do it. The internet is confusing.
It is.
And I walked in,
is.
and they were like, I told them, I was like, hey, I just want to look at a car. I just want to look for cars. So
it's a no hassle environment.
They sent somebody to talk to us. They talked us through the whole process. When we found one and found out that it was actually going to be in our budget, we decided to go in and talk to them about it. They sat us down, walked us through step by step everything to do. So if you're out there, you need to buy a new car and you don't know how to do it, you don't know where to start, go to Carmacks.
Yeah,
it's super awesome.
Because you don't have to negotiate. And that's part of the stressful thing.
Yeah,
with
and on top of that, the prices are competitive.
Yeah.
So it's a no haggle price.
Yep.
So you're not going into it with a car that's marked up $5 or $6 grand because they know you're gonna try and ask for something lower.
Sure.
It's a reasonable price.
Yeah.
And you don't have to fight for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you? What's your jam?
Yeah. So my jam is also very adult in its nature. I'm going through various remodels on my house.
Oh, nice.
And so so it is a 1963, home. So there are just a lot of old things that have to happen. So one of them is the windows are the original windows from 1963. So
not really holding up in this Denver weather.
No. In fact, they shake, and I can hear anyone on the other side of the glass as they walk by. So yeah, that's been something where, gone through various vendors, and, the great thing, I'm in real estate, so I know various vendors. And so
I know these people.
I know them and found a great deal. We're going to be doing that, close to the beginning of June, and just getting brand new doors, windows, the whole bit. And it just makes me so stinking happy.
Yeah.
To just do all those things on my house. And yeah, new garage doors, the works. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be so fun, and just figuring out the right price, the right equipment, all the things that I want to do, and then just getting it done. And it just feels very adult when you basically write a check to replace all your windows.
Yeah, and apparently Basher's really excited about all this
Basher
remodeling.
was excited. So
he's loving it.
Yeah, he wants to be an adult even though he is just a puppy.
Right.
So
he can't wait to start remodels on his doghouse.
I know it, and I would say my other jam would also be training a dog, because I have a 75-pound Bernese Mountain Dog that is only 7 months old. So it's just That's just a big dog, and he's probably going to be about 130 pounds.
Jeez.
So we're training the heck out of him.
Jeez, that is not something you want jumping on you when you walk in the door.
No. So, yeah, those are my jams.
Well, dope. That's it for the show.
Yeah, love
That's
that.
everything. So if you guys are interested in sponsoring the show, Patreon, Satchel, and Amazon.
Just do it.
That's how we do it.
Yeah.
Put any of those words after betweenthecons.com/ and it'll take you to how you can help out there. Go to our website, betweenthecons.com, where you can stream our episodes online, link out to social media.
Review the heck out of it.
Yeah. Review the show.
Yeah.
If you like our theme music, check out Afixa.
Yep.
He is the genius behind the Zelda dubstep that we use. And then make sure you guys tune in on Thursday, because we're going to be back. We're going to be hitting the headlines in the latest and greatest nerdy news in our Pineapple episode, and you will not want to miss it.
I was going to say, yeah, enjoy it. We do.
Enjoy.
Yes.
But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a good one. We will talk to you on Thursday.
I'm going to London. What it do, doodly do.